Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and today we're going to talk about how this is the worst time for signed Pokemon cards. I wish I was being hyperbolic, but everybody is losing right now. It doesn't matter if you're the purest collector or an executive for Team Rocket, nobody is winning. Signed cards are relatively new for Pokemon, but they've been around forever for pretty much every other collectible. Whether you're into Mickey Mantle or Mickey Mouse, you could very easily buy some signed item well before Pokemon was a thought into Tajiri's mind. You started to see this pick up around 2016-17 thanks to Arita really pioneering signings then, and it's increased in the last few years with all these other signings happening. It's become very popular. There's more people doing it within the more serious side of the community, but because it is newer, there are a lot of growing pains. One of those being PSA recently fired their Pokemon guy. You heard that right, singular, one person. They're like the Spider-Man meme holding the chair legs together. That was what we had for Pokemon, and that person is gone. And more importantly, that void has yet to be filled. They have yet to rehire someone for that, and a lot of people want to know why. And here is the ultimate Buzz-Killington answer, is because Pokemon is ultimately negligible in relation to PSA's numbers. This isn't the answer I want. It's not what I would do if I were in control. It's just the realistic reason. Because at the end of the day, sports memorabilia is 99.69% repeating the business, not only for PSA, but any third-party authenticator. And if you zoom out and really compare the two, Pokemon is extremely strict with their IP. They keep those chains tight, where sports is a global thing. You have numerous sports, so many athletes, whether they're current, retired, whatever it is, that can sign things all the time and in many different ways. They don't have to be at a sanctioned event. They could just sign a ball at the ballpark. They could just do a private signing. I know some people who said, hey, ex-athlete, here's X amount of money, can you sign these items? There's so many ways to generate signed memorabilia in sports, where in Pokemon, there's only one, it's very strict, and it's very infrequent. So naturally, from a business perspective, that means a lot less of this and a lot more of that being sports. Now, if I were in the grandma chair at PSA, I would say, hang on, majority of our cards being graded right now are Pokemon, so maybe we could just take a bit of those profits like they do in the NCAA and just scooch it over here and hire someone properly to fix all this craziness with Pokemon autographs, because if you don't, someone else is probably going to eat that lunch. But that's just what I would do. Again, I'm not there. I'm just explaining the reasons why, it is the way it is right now. So because of all this, naturally, there's frustration. There are people who attended these events recently and they want to get their cards slabbed and authenticated. I have some here all the time that I look at and appreciate. It's a great way to preserve them and have them authenticated, give you peace of mind. And you can't do that. There are some that went to tournaments that are actually documented, video recorded by some of the TOs that are being denied. So this creates a lot of frustration. That leads us into the next part, the community. The good old hashtag community right now. How are they handling this? Let's check in with them and see how they're handling all this with signed cards. It's like a constant 5 stages of grief. It's like the heat of the moment, but the moment never ends. And it just touches everyone. The pure people are fighting the good fight, right? They're defending the artist and explaining everything, and they know everything. And then you have Team Rocket over here who might be abusing relationships to make money or whatever it is, or cut in line or do anything. Everybody here is losing. Nobody in this dust cloud is winning anything. None of these people are getting more signed cards. None of them are getting them authenticated. It is a wholesale net loss. More importantly, the actual 4D chess answer is people are trying to look for a place to put their blame. Who's the boogie strongman? Who do we blame? Who is the villain here? Right, it's PSA because they got rid of that guy. When in reality, I think that's more the patsy. I think that's more the imposter Oak or the Shadow Zelda, in the Water Temple. I don't think it's the real deal. I think the thing to blame is what we mentioned earlier. Who's holding the chains? Daddy Pokemon. Professor Oak, Pokemon is the number one source for all of these issues. They are the only ones who can alleviate these problems. Because if they open the doors more and more flexible with artists, more product comes through, PSA is more inclined to hire someone, it all goes away. It all funnels back to them. If you don't know, tying in the athletes to give you a good contrast here, athletes aren't artists. While Connor McDavid or Michael Jordan or LeBron James, whoever, pick your poison, they can sign whatever they want. They have more control of their likeness. Again, if they wanted to sign a ball after the game or, sign a puck at the rink, they can do that. Where all the other Pokemon artists, those chains are really tight. They don't own the rights to Charizard. Arita doesn't own the rights to Pikachu. Himeno doesn't own the rights to Bulbasaur. That's something that is licensed to them. And more importantly, these artists err on the side of caution, which again, we're just staying in the Buzz Killington zone of rational reasons why that aren't the feelings or things I would do. But the reason why is because they don't want to lose that just unbelievable gig they have with Pokemon. You got to understand there are an endless amount of artists that will always remain in obscurity and nothingness because they don't have an attachment to the highest grossing media franchise in human history. If I were an artist in that position, I'd be like, I wouldn't even see the sky. I would always be bending the knee so much that I'd be 3 feet tall permanently because I don't want to upset Pokemon. I want to keep that gig as long as I can. So that is why those artists are so cautious in how they operate, to a point where if they are told they don't do Pokemon, they only do it if Pokemon says so. They only sign a card if said so. They work on a need to know if they can basis. So that is where it really funnels into. That is where all the frustration should be aimed. And now saying that, I don't really know if that's productive. Continuing this Buzz Killington train, we're just going to the next stop now. I don't really know what you can do to make Pokemon care. One of the things I wrote down, I tried to answer it, just thinking about it, just looking at that sentence of Pokemon doesn't care. And what that means when you unpack it is that myself, probably most of you and most serious collectors are a sliver of the pie. We might even be so small that you have to do like the super zoom in. We might have to do the zoom enhance with like 5 lenses to actually see us, because that serious side, as far as numbers are concerned, is so small that Pokemon might not even notice it. To give you a better understanding of that, like a signing event usually has like, let's say 300, 500 people in a weekend. That's like less than a day of Pokemon Center orders. Like I have stuff I want to buy from Pokemon Center right now live that I'm waiting to go back in stock. Like that's how hot Pokemon is all the time. So if you're in Professor Oak's lab coat, what's the move you're going to make? You're going to say, okay, we have this very small sliver of people here who we don't know, again, that I'm a part of. I'm there with you, and I would love for them to notice me, senpai. But the reality is, how do you get them to do that? How do you get them to notice you? The only thing I could see there is maybe if someone could pitch to them the more abstract, non-monetary value of, this is like a net positive for artists and, fan interactions, and there can be a positive spread of emotions, or however you want to, think about it, that I think would ultimately help people's experience or benefit a lot of other people's experience. Because when you go to the pure collector side of things, that's what everyone comes home with. They come home with that experience. The signed card ties in that experience. One that I have here off camera, it's not really monetary value, high value, but it's from someone I care about, from a private sign with an artist. It's very special to me. It all ties together. I think that's what makes signing special. And if there were a way to pitch that, maybe just clip this and drop it off at Pokemon headquarters, I think there's something there that goes beyond just the earnings, because I think a lot of these companies are stuck in the earnings, and I get it, practicality first, but Pokemon is so high in the clouds that they can step out and take a risk. They have enough, they might have enough money to go do that, to say, okay, maybe there is something here, maybe there's something we could do. We could even structure this in a way where we roll these out every X amount of time, because not only is it beneficial to the fans, it's beneficial to the artists, and if it's organized well and we keep everybody in line and Team Rocket on the outside, it really is just a net positive. But you're in this quandary, kind of like when you're trying to get an entry-level job right out of college, where it says, we require a college degree, but 3 to 5 years experience. And you're like, how do I get over this hump? That's where you are with Pokemon, because here's some Patreon knowledge that they've been pitched before. The Pokemon Bible that's sitting over here that has every card until about 99, 2000 in there. Somebody pitched them, hey, we need to do this for everything. And they got through. They got to the higher ups. And what they said was, well, we need a proof of concept, which puts you in this place of, well, how do I create a proof of concept while using your IP that you have to approve me to do to show you that it makes money, right? So you're in this state of, I really can't do anything. So that's ultimately where we land with autographs right now. The system is broken from beginning to end. Starting with Pokemon, starting with the source, and then moving along. I know the community is a big dust ball right now, and there's a lot of noise and negativity in there. And you end with authenticators like PSA who can help that. But again, this all starts from the source. If Pokemon just opened it up, had more signings, let more artists be more flexible, this stuff will dissipate over time. In fact, when Arita started signing, or when there was that moment where signings were scarce because of the craziness of a couple years ago, autographs and price valuations were higher for certain cards. And now they have dampened. In fact, I remember selling some base Charizards back then for more, probably about double of what they're going for today. And today is a much stronger market. Nobody would dare say 2018 or 19 is anywhere near where we are now. It was not even close. In fact, if I could buy any card you name from Energy to Illustrator in 2018, I would break my computer hitting yes or enter or whatever, any key. So that is the reality of this, is it's very supply driven. And the more these artists sign, naturally, common sense, the more supply, the demand chills out. This dust cloud softens, it goes away. You know, people go back to some other thing, to other dust cloud to get into, and everything's more copacetic. But the bottom line is, the biggest answer is we need to figure out a way to incentivize Pokemon to care. I know a lot of people behind the scenes who have, because I know the artists care and I know the fans care, but that doesn't really represent the majority of the customer base. I think the majority of the Pokemon customer base just wants to get the newest Pikachu t-shirt. You know, they want to get the newest ETB. And I'm not dogging it. It's just that's the reality. You know, that's their bread and butter. In fact, a quote that I probably said in other videos from one of their executives, one of the higher-ups at Pokemon US, said, our main concern is getting as much product through Walmart and Target. That's it. That's their main concern. So there is something there. I don't know if it's someone complaining in a grandma house that'll change their mind. I don't know what it would take, but I do think there's something outside of the practical numbers that could rectify everything, you know, explaining the emotional value and the importance to the artists, to the fans, and how I think that could just like proliferate, if that's the right word, how I think it could spread and just be a lot of good happiness stuff for everybody and just increase that positivity. You know, when I see successful signings, it's an overall net positive. It's a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. It really brings you back to the early days of, you know, the Toys R Us meetups or whatever it is. It really just has that down-home, actual community vibe to it. So that is something that I'd love to see more of. Someone just needs to figure out the magical words to pitch to Pokemon, and I think it all flows through. You know, any third-party authenticator will be like, oh yeah, now that there's more signings, the numbers make sense. Even though, again, if I were in the grandma chair at PSA, I'd be like, hey, let's take just even a bit of those profits from grading and just throw it over here and hire someone qualified. That would be my solution. But yeah, that's what I have on the signings right now. I can't overstate how this is something that a lot of people enjoy, not only in Pokemon, it's just something that, you know, I brought over some of my memorabilia here from GoldenEye. Like this is from the premiere of GoldenEye. I love this thing. It has we got Famke here, we got Pierce Brosnan, we got the trio signed. I just love this stuff. It's a piece of history. It really just brings together like a literal physical thing with a nice emotion. It just ties it all in. It's just a staple that a lot of people enjoy. And yeah, hopefully we can get it sorted. So that's what I have, guys. As usual, hopefully you found this interesting, useful. You know the deal. Let me know how I feel. And that's pretty much it. Till next time.